before the surgical strike on Iranian enrichment facilities was based on him starting another illegal baseless war, right? That would be the reason for it?
Yeah, sure. A war of choice, a war of aggression, an illegal war. The Constitution is very clear. You need Congress to declare a war. Every single war since World War II has been illegal. And there was absolutely no need to launch those strikes. They pose no threat to us.
When we're dealing with American politics and American foreign aid, there's right, there's left, there's centrists. But in all reality, to suggest cutting off aid for Israel, do we truly understand what you are suggesting? Well, let's listen to this conversation where Mr. David Smith goes totally off the rails. But let's watch it together and we'll discuss it afterwards. Kindly subscribe to our channel so a little bit of light will certainly push away a lot of darkness.
But I don't know. I don't really agree with your overall characterization.
Well, it's not that you disagree with my overall characterization. Your question was, name me any wars he's ended. And then you moved the goalposts, right?
No. When I said wars he's ended, I didn't mean like he picked up a phone call and then a conflict like between two other parties. I'm saying wars that America's been involved in.
So diplomacy doesn't count there.
Or fighting.
So none of those would count.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't count. I'm saying it's not exactly a war he ended.
Well, I want to have this conversation in good faith. And if you say, name me any wars he's ended, and I go, okay, Thailand, Cambodia, Israel, Gaza, ceasefire, Armenia, Azerbaijan, you could argue, hold on a second. You could argue that Yemen, really a proxy war with Iran, which kind of brings us back to the initial point. It's certainly more than other presidents. So picking up the phone and engaging in diplomacy, which I thought you would be supportive of, he's done it more than other presidents. And I would say he's set apart pretty significantly, which is why I don't want to impeach him. I don't think that would make America stronger, more effective. I think it would make us weaker. That's really the crux of this. I think he's better than other presidents. I think he's the most effective president of our lifetime. And I don't think it's an impeachable offense. He asked me which wars did he end. I just gave you a list. Do those count?
Well, it's again not okay. Look, if you're talking about the war between Israel, if you can call it a war, Israel's destruction of Gaza, yes, after funding and facilitating the whole thing for his entire second term of his presidency, he's gotten a very loosely holding together ceasefire as of right now. So yes, as I've said on my show and said publicly, I give him credit for that. That part was better. The funding it for the his entire presidency, which you seem to agree with, that part was wrong.
I agree with the funding of it, you're saying?
No, I said, which you already said.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. Yes.
You agree with me.
No, Dave, I'm just making, I agree with you.
So, okay.
You and I share that same common ground, but I just think it's important.
Okay.
Dave, you said interrupting. I've got a timer clock going. I don't think you're going to like the way it looks. Okay. So I was listing the other examples of Donald Trump being a non-interventionist in comparison to Biden, for example. Even just using your example there, talk about funding the war, Israel, Gaza. Ceasefire's pretty damn quick into Donald Trump's presidency. And I'm not saying it's perfect. I think it's better than no ceasefire. I think picking up the phone and ending conflicts is better than not, but we still find ourselves at the intersect of impeachment. And so, let's move on, you stand by it. I believe that the impeachment, which you called for before the surgical strike on Iranian enrichment facilities, was based on him starting another illegal baseless war, right? That would be the reason for it?
Yeah, sure. A war of choice, a war of aggression, an illegal war. The Constitution is very clear. You need Congress to declare a war. Every single war since World War II has been illegal. And there was absolutely no need to launch those strikes. They pose no threat to us.
Okay. So that's where I would disagree, but I also understand that you're consistent, and I do appreciate it. You think that every war since World War II is illegal, every military strike, and every president is a war criminal who should be executed. I don't think that's realistic. And if you look at the War Powers Act, it delegates the authority exclusively to the president to make that kind of a call, and they have the right to withdraw.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, to be clear, I'm not arguing that that's realistic, but in the same sense that, like, you might say there should be no abortions, and I could respond to you and say, hey, that's not realistic, and that is true. It's not realistic that at any point soon in the United States of America, there'll be no abortions, but that's what's right. And so I'm just staking out my claim of what I believe is right.
Right. Okay. So you mean morally you would like to see him impeached?
I mean, morally, I think it's immoral to launch wars of aggression and choice is what I mean. Okay.
So, but then you said that would be unconstitutional in an illegal war. Obviously, the Supreme Court disagrees. Obviously, every other president who was far more hawkish disagrees. And obviously, even right now, when you're talking about Democrats who love, I wish you and I, come on, you got to agree with this. I wish you and I had a passion for anything as much as these people have a passion for trying to impeach or political theater against Donald Trump. And that didn't really even gain any steam. Because no one, aside from Dave Smith and a few other people, think this was World War III or an unconstitutional strike.
When did I say it was World War III, Stephen?
You talked about escalating this again back on social media, saying this could lead us into World War III. That's why you wanted to impeach it.
Please show my specific quote about World War III and what I said.
I will find it, and I can provide it publicly.
No, because I hear a lot of people saying this to me, but I don't remember saying it. So
okay.
When did I say
You didn't
World
think
War
it was going
III?
to escalate global conflict?
Oh, I was concerned about escalation, but that's a very different thing than saying this is going to lead to World War III.
Okay, well, I'll rephrase then, because you did say you didn't call for it. I'm like, well, burying beneath the prison is execution, right? I don't want to do the wordplay thing. If you didn't say World War III, I apologize. It would be other people. I'll clarify that.
No. I'm not listen, I'm not saying you are lying. I'm just pointing out I don't think I said that.
Well, can we agree that that was a tenor and tone for a lot of people calling for impeaching Donald Trump? Escalation, global conflict. Right.
Yeah, there were a lot of people concerned about that.
Yes,
sure.
Exactly. Is that where we are?
Are we in World War III?
No, I didn't say World War III. Has it escalated or has it de-escalated? Because I'm looking at it. Hold on a second. I said don't impeach because I actually think that our only chance at de-escalation is a president like Trump. And I think at this point he wasn't impeached. I think an unbelievable surgical strike, agree or disagree with it, was conducted with no collateral damage, with planes out over the ocean before they woke up in the morning, and no one even said a word. That's why they couldn't retaliate, because they have no way to. I think the 12-day war ended. I think we have a ceasefire agreement in Israel and Gaza, and I think we're better off. I think objectively there's been de-escalation as opposed to escalation, and I don't think that's by accident. And I think if we impeach him and we follow that doctrine, I think we end up in a much worse place.
I think that we would be in a much better place if Donald Trump had simply moved to cutting off all foreign aid to Israel and supporting this war and not attacked Iran in the first place. But yes, it is absolutely. It is okay, but that's a pretty big deal. So it is absolutely true that after we dropped those bunker busters on the Iranian nuclear sites, and then they responded with, the kind of a typical Iranian response where they just wanted to save face, but really wanted to make sure that they didn't escalate the situation at all and gave advanced warning before they sent those missiles back. Donald Trump took that off ramp immediately and did de-escalate things after that. And I think it's great that he did that. Again, the whole thing never needed to be started to begin with, but we'll see. We're kind of in halftime of this war now, and we'll see where this goes. Every time Netanyahu's interviewed about this, he's still talking about the capabilities that Iran is building back up. They're vowing to rebuild their nuclear program. Donald Trump is saying that'll be a big problem if it happens again. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't think Iran saber rattling is anything new, right? I think that's happening no matter who's president. Yeah,
that's right. And we'll see. We'll see where this goes.
I do think the ceasefires are pretty new. I think they're pretty unique, and I think it's kind of a calling card of Donald Trump, which is why I wouldn't want to see him impeached or buried beneath the prison. I also, and here's the thing, when we're talking about Israel funding the war, we can go to that. We can go back to Iran if you would like to, but I agree with you in not funding. And this is a genuine question. If we stop funding Israel, right, stop foreign aid, I want to use the correct term, foreign aid to Israel, as well as, for example, Syria, list the country, my answer is yes. We also bridled Israel quite a bit, which I will say I'm a fan of. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, one of the greatest moments in presidential history. I don't think there's a world in which Netanyahu apologizes to Qatar outside of President Trump walking him. And I think that we saw even since then, going in the timeline, Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance saying, if they annex the West Bank, we'll stop all funding, right? I think that we're leading the dance, and I think that without the bridling of the United States, in other words, if it's two guys, we lock them in a racquetball court, Israel, Palestine, you work it out, I think you'd see a much worse genocide. But I'd let the chips fall where they may, either direction.
And just uttering the words to stop funding Israel, I mean, how short-sighted are we? Do we not realize and recognize what Israel does for America? Is the world so short-sighted? Are they really forgetting the amount of intelligence that Israel provides America and giving America the edge in the Middle East? Could one only imagine what the Middle East would look like without Israel there, where America would be affected, and having the Muslim Brotherhood spread together with Iran and the whole jihadist radicalism spread throughout the whole Middle East and into Asia, Europe, Asia, and the rest of the world, and soon to America. Israel being there strategically, being able to protect America and the West from the Arab Caliphate of trying to take over the world. But that's just a side point. You talk about economics. Israel, thank God, is doing exceedingly well economically. It will do just fine with or without US aid. It certainly helps us. But I think America gets a lot more out of Israel than perhaps Israel's getting from America. The alliance between these two countries, there is so much behind the curtain that we don't know that goes on, of how Israel is not just a devout ally to America, but how it's protecting America's interests throughout the world. And just the sheer amount of intelligence that Israel shares with America is more valuable than any of the foreign aid that America has been given Israel. And recently someone did that equation, said if they did not get the intelligence value from Israel and America would have had to recreate the intelligence, it would have costed them 3 times more than the American aid to Israel. But that being aside, to realizing and understanding, to even utter the words to impeach our president because he went after the Iran nuclear threat. Do we not realize for a moment the miracle that Mr. Donald J. Trump survived not 1, not 2, 3 assassination attempts? Isn't there some kind of a message from heaven that there's a reason why Donald Trump is still alive today? When he was almost assassinated on that July 13 last year assassination attempt, where the bullet grazed his ear and he was saved by a fraction of a millimeter. The very next day, I sent him a video. One of my first messages on YouTube that went viral was a message to our president. I too had a near-death experience. I too had bullets coming flying at me to kill me, to assassinate me. That's where these 2 fingers went. An AR-15, high-powered, but used by a terrorist, a white 19-year-old supremacist, a white supremacist, breached our synagogue on April 27, 2019, the last day of Passover. As I was talking to Lori Kay, shot and killed her right in front of my eyes, and then lifted up the AR-15 to assassinate me, to kill me. I survived because I ran to grab the children to safety, which they all got to safety. Eventually, some gentlemen of the congregation chased him out. But my message to the president was that when you have a near-death experience, and when you are about to die, but yet a fraction of a millimeter you're saved, it's because God still needs you on this world. It's what I call the bonus round. That God needs you to be His ambassador during this time and the now. I personally, it's been 6 years since I survived the near-death experience, the assassination, and I valued every single day. I've been through some very difficult, hellish experiences since then. But I am here today, and that was the birth of this channel, was realizing that even though I face darkness, a little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness. The same thing with our president. I mean, after the shooting, I'll never forget when he invited me to the White House. I met with him in the Oval Office, and I told him these words. I looked straight in his eyes. I said, "Dear Mr. President, I guarantee you, if you continue on supporting Israel and the Jewish people and following in God's ways, you will succeed. You will be successful." And this is the message to our dear president. You have been siding with Israel, supporting with Israel, appreciating Israel's contribution to the world, not just the world economy, but what Israel has been a light unto all the nations. With all of its accomplishments, its innovations and inventions in the last 77 years, cannot compare it to any other country. All of Israel's accomplishments in medical breakthroughs, in communication, in technology, in food, in water filtration. Just go down the list. It's all for the world. Israel always shares everything it can for the world. Israel is a country that does not ask what can the world do for it, but what it can do for the world. And this is why Mr. Donald J. Trump not only should not be impeached, he should be saluted. He should be honored and respected for being the most effective president in recent days. What he has accomplished in the last 9 months, hands down, undisputable, no other president has accomplished. And you can't deny the fact of the wars that he stopped. You cannot deny the fact that he brought the hostages home alive. That it was his architect of the peace deal that was able to bring a ceasefire to Gaza. Unfortunately, he has also kept Israel's hand behind its back, not letting it finish the job, which we hope that we can finish the job. As Douglas Murray said, when a house is on fire, you don't extinguish 80% of the fire, 90% of the fire. You got to extinguish all 100% of the fire. And this is what Israel has to do with Hamas. We must extinguish the whole fire. No embers allowed. The death cult must be gone so that the people in Gaza can be free and Israel can have secure borders. Let's pray, and we hope that that happens speedily in our days. Amen. God bless you. God loves you.